Now, I will now talk about the methods of ijtihad. The first is qiyas, the principal method of past ijtihad. Whatever ijtihad happened, it was mainly through qiyas. And qiyas is a method of analogical deduction on the basis of text. There is the text of the Quran, there is the text of Sunnah, and to find out analogy. Now, how it is done? For example, the four pillars of qiyas are asal. There must be text, some text in the Quran and the Sunnah. First, asal. Second, far. There must be a new situation. There must be a new situation where I am trying to find an analogy, where I am trying to find a large analogy. And illa, the cause. What is the cause of the hukum in Quran and Sunnah? And if the cause is present in the new thing, then I will say there is an analogy, and I will say the same hukum will be applied in this case also. And then it is, for example, then hukum, and then you apply the same hukum as hukum of the Quran and the Sunnah to the new situation. I give an example that will clarify. For example, in Quran says the drinking is prohibited. And illa is, Quran we find, illa is the drunkenness, or that you lose your mental ability. Now the new situation is this heroin. We find the same reason is here. So the same hukum of prohibition is applied on heroin and morphine and even this yaba tablet of what we are hearing in our area. And so this is about qiyas. Some scholars have said of Zahiri school that we don't agree to qiyas, but their arguments are very weak. Anybody can see the textbook, and I don't want to prolong that. And the other, for example, other methods of ijtihad are, for example, I have said about qiyas, and I go to fatwa of Sahaba. Fatwa of Sahaba. Fatwa of Sahaba means ijtihad of Sahaba. Fatwa of Sahaba means ijtihad of Sahaba. There are two main views. One view is that the fatwa of Sahaba is absolute. We should obey. But obedience, evidence in this regard is weak. I can read a little from page 45 of the textbook I am using about this point. It says the first view is that it is absolute proof. And the proponents of the view say that they quote the hadith like, for example, my companions are like stars, honor my companions, etc. Now, those who do not agree, they say these are referred to basically the status and dignity of Sahabas, not to the quality of their ijtihad. So they don't accept this view. They say this evidence is weak. And another view is that the fatwa of Sahaba or ijtihad of Sahaba is a proof but not binding. They are also human beings, we are also human beings. And we may agree, we may disagree. But it is another point, the ijma of Sahaba has been validated by all. Ijma of Sahaba, if the Sahabas have agreed on any point, all of them, then it is binding. But there are very few such ijma. We shall discuss that when we discuss ijma. The next method of ijtihad is istihsan. Istihsan means that the text becomes tough. The text, the hukum in the text is very tough. May become tough. And what do you do? How do you reduce the rigor, the weight of the hukum or the instruction of the law? Now, for example, Imam Khalifatul Rashid Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu suspended cutting of hands during famine on the basis of istihsan. He thought the purpose of the law of Allah was not to punish innocent people. There is a famine and people cannot eat. If they steal something, they cannot be punished. The haq cannot be applied. So this is a case of istihsan. And in modern times, there are many things are happening being done on the basis of istihsan, and I am not discussing further on this, except one point I may mention. For example, in Islamic law, we have read in the past the oral evidence, the shahada, bil qawl, oral evidence. Shahada bil qawl was the standard form. But now, Shahada bil qawl may not give us a full result. 10 men telling it is true, 5 men telling it is not true. I am not sure. So now, for example, in so many matters, laboratory tests or DNA test, or let us say in airport, this photography, all these things, videography, video photography, all these things have come. And these, even if there is some distortion, this can also be found out. So these tests are acceptable, and not only that, Istihsan demands that when you cannot do justice on the basis of oral evidence, you can in addition, or take this technical, procedure. So I think this is, proper, I would say. And then I will go to another method of ijtihad called maslaha mursala. Maslaha mursala. Now, maslaha mursala means unrestricted public interest. Unrestricted public interest. Maslaha means public interest, public good, public benefit. And mursala means continue. So, now maslaha mursala means that if there is a good for people, there is no law in the Quran, law in the Sunnah, then we cannot find a law through the qiyas, we cannot find a law through the istihsan, then we go to maslaha. Whatever is good for the people, of all people, of an area, of a locality, of a country, that can be the basis of law, or regulation, or rule, or circular. So, application of maslaha in the past, there are many examples. For example, issuance of currency was done on that basis, maslaha. Establishment of prison was done on the basis of maslaha. Imposition of kharaj by Khalifa Umar was on the basis of maslaha. Compilation of the Quran was done on the basis of maslaha, that it must be necessary, it must be done. And compilation of hadith also was on the basis of maslaha, it is necessary, it has become important to do it. Now, the last method I will discuss is called istishab. Istishab means courtship or companionship. In usul al-fiqh, istishab means presumption. In any modern law of evidence, there is presumption. This is Islamic equivalent. This is istishab. And istishab are of 3-4 types. One is istishab al-adam al-asli. That is a presumption that originally this thing was absent. Originally this thing was absent. The presumption is originally this thing was absent. For example, everybody knows there is no law that anybody can kill any bull in the street. There is no law like this. Now somebody says, no, there is a law. Then we shall say, bring evidence, because we know there is no law. So we say that the original presumption is of absence, there's not such a law. You have to prove that there is a law. Secondly, the original presumption is that something is present, not absent. Something is present. Everybody knows something is present. And you say, no, it is not there. So show us the evidence. For example, say if there's a valid marriage, everybody knows that there's a valid marriage between X and Y, and then he says, the wife says that I have not been paid mohr, and then the husband says that I have paid. In this case, unless he can prove evidence that he has paid, the presumption will be that he has not paid. But in any case, whether the example is right or wrong, there may be some mistake also, I admit. But then the point is that there is an original presence. If somebody says no, it is not present, then, for example, I change the example, that we know that there is a marriage between X and Y, and somebody says, no, there is no marriage. Well, proof that there is no marriage. The court will ask, proof that there is no marriage. So original presence is the marriage itself.